And welcome to this special anniversary episode of Media Musings. I see we've got Godless Scummer in the chat.
Hey, Jeff.
And Mama Atheist.
Amanda. Hey.
And also, a very fond hello to whoever might be lurking or watching in the future. Now, the reason I say this is a pseudo-anniversary episode is because a couple weeks ago was the 1 year since my first video was published.
Cool.
And since my first video was on the evangelicals petitioning Netflix to try and get them to remove Good Omens, which, for those of you who aren't aware, is an Amazon Prime show. I figured, what better way to celebrate a year of making content for YouTube than doing a special Good Omens episode of Media Musings.
Woo!
And, oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no, I talked to him this morning.
Okay, so
But maybe he did drown into. He may have. He may have.
He may be treading trophies.
Yeah, I spoke to him in the last 24 hours. He was, yeah.
But and as always, we have my wonderful co-host, Jen from Jen's Little Corner.
I like how you said always, but I haven't been on for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well, life comes first.
It does. But I'm thinking, yes, Hissy's almost always on now. I'm going to have to change your intro.
Well, yeah. You took a bit of a mid-season, or a between-season hiatus.
I did.
And of course, as usual, we have very special guest, Danger Hissy from Hissy's Hideaway.
You're special.
Yeah, I'm very special. I hope so. He married me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the first time on this show, but those of you who watch secular D&D know that she plays Ale Slosh in our current campaign. We have Julie Lavoie from Wine and Reason.
Hey.
What does your mug say?
It's a bunch of great titles of books and poems. There's Howl. There's Les Miserables, Lolita. Well, God, I couldn't get through Lolita. It creeped me out. Humane.
I'm not reading that.
Sorry. Naked Lunch. Just a whole. Oh, there we go. The Catcher in the Rye. Just all the good band ones.
Animal Farm.
Yeah, Animal Farm. I can't see it because it's in front of my face.
Naked Lunch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. These are all. Oh, that's right. Because it says band there. So these are all banned books. Yeah, these were all banned books and poems at some point or another that we now consider to be, classics and have children read in high school. So, which I think is amazing.
Shadowly's Lover at the top. Yeah, let's have kids read Lady Shadowly's Lover. That's
I did. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was in college, but still.
Well,
I think I read it when I was about 15.
Les Mis would probably be better if they took out the essays, the book-long essays, and released that as its own, collection.
Agreed.
Basically have Les Mis, the plot, and then
The
a collection of the essays called like On the Poor or something.
Well, it is fascinating. You look at 19th century. Nope. I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to. Yep, let's not. We're talking about Good Omens, written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Yeah, I'm not sure which.
I think it's Gaiman.
Yeah, I've never heard him say it, so I don't know how he says it.
Gaiman, isn't it? Neil Gaiman.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I do have a bit of trivia, but it happens towards the end of the season, so I'm not going to say it yet, but I wrote it down.
Okay. And though like for the last couple episodes we have been like going plot wise, we're gonna go old school for this episode and kind of go topic by topic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because otherwise 6 episodes is going to take a while.
Hold on.
Hey, probably going to end up a 2-parter knowing the way we do these things.
So, I just learned something in the chat. So, before we truly get started, I am going to share screen.
What are you doing?
I'm excited.
As we can see on the
Going on your
screen.
Yay!
I hit 50.
Yeah, you've broke 50. You are now at 52 subs.
Woohoo! Nice.
Now I have to start making videos.
Yeah, but nice. Well done.
Videos, you got lots of asterisk ones.
Yeah, they're all like streams, though. I mean, like recorded videos.
Yeah.
Because I don't have many of those. Although I will start now. Oh, I should.
Yeah.
I should too.
We'll see.
I need to learn how to edit videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, I know it's got nothing to do with the stream. What do you think about a certain person upsetting animal rights activists in the last week by wearing something in public?
Oh.
I didn't hear about this.
Oh, I did. I think if you're going to upset animal rights activists, at least do it in a coat that doesn't look like you pulled it out of a charity shop bin for a tenner.
Oh, yeah, it does look like that too, doesn't it? Our favourite author decided to wear a real animal fur coat somewhere and got called on it by animal rights activists.
It's a traditional style parka, so it's not a nice looking coat.
Oh, it's not. It's horrible.
It's horrible. It's the same coat. If anyone's ever seen Easter's East, it's the same coat the little boy wears.
Oh dear. Okay.
And it's awful.
But it's her, and she got called on it, and she doubled down on it, and they just gave her shit. So she's slowly alienating herself from her entire fan base.
Yeah, and and that's what I think is the saddest thing about this person is that with her book, she taught a whole generation to stand up for what they believed was right, and now she's pissed off that they're doing it because they don't agree with her. It's like, well, hey, lady.
She doesn't believe in what she was preaching in her books.
Apparently not.
I don't think she actually knew what she was preaching in her books. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, might have been. Okay.
I don't think she really understood her own narrative.
No.
But from there, we can go across to a couple of authors who actually do know their own narratives and write really good for both teenagers and adults.
Write exceedingly well.
And hello, Doc Fearsome.
Hey, Doc Fearsome.
Well, you know what? In fact, I'm not sure when exactly it is in the narrative of the book because obviously the series goes chronological order for the most part. But there is actually a comedic thesis for the novel actually stated by one of the characters in almost kind of a meta sort of statement. When Crowley turns to Aziraphale as they're, on the wall of the Garden of Eden, and Crowley says, "Wouldn't it be funny if I did the right thing and you did the wrong thing?"
Yeah, I wrote that quote down. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
Very mental. That's right at the start of episode 1, is that?
Yeah, and what I love is that they both look terribly nervous. As he says, it's like, so it starts out as kind of a haha, and then they're just like, excellent acting. I liked that. Okay, this is gonna sound a little weird, but I liked it because it's true. Not in the Adam and Eve story being true sense, but in the our species sense. Adam and Eve were black, and I liked that. That is the first depiction I've ever seen of Adam and Eve as African people. And it was nice. Like I was like, oh, cool.
This series is very good because God is a woman, Adam and Eve are black.
Yeah, and
very much.
Sorry,
it turns tropes on its head.
Yeah, and the great plan versus the ineffable plan, but we'll get there.
Yes.
I don't want to rush it, but yeah.
So, one of the main running. So, I mean, that's the comedic, thesis of this satire, which ironically kind of turned August into satire month, since, we're breaking up a two-parter on The Princess Bride for this.
Oh. Oh dear.
Which is a brilliant movie, my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It is. It's gorgeous.
I did really like because apples are definitely a theme throughout the whole thing, obviously. And also free will and knowing what the right thing to do is and what the wrong thing to do is, and in what situation. Because it gets very gray and very muddy. And this whole heaven and hell notion, heaven and hell start to look very similar.
Oh,
nice, Jeff.
Yeah, and from Mama Atheist.
I was something similar.
Inspired by Crowley and Aziraphale as they grow throughout the eons and become more and more like each other.
Yeah.
To the point that who's the angel and who's the demon.
Right, and I love how they become. Honestly, just best friends. Like best friend. I mean, I even found when I was Googling, I found some stuff where like people were like, "Are they in love?" And I was like, I think you could, if you wanted to do a queer theory critique of this, you could. I think there's a little bit there. But they specifically say best friends, so it's a little
No. I saw this. Neil Gaiman has a Tumblr blog, and someone asked him on Tumblr about this, and I saw this, and it's off the top of my head, so it won't be a direct quote, but someone said, "Are they supposed to be in love?" And he basically said yes.
Oh, yay!
Don't forget, this book came out in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
So they had to be subtle about it, but he said both he and Terry Pratchett always intended it to be that way.
Oh, cool! So that's why they act it the way that they do.
When I bought the book, when it first came out, so I'm trying to remember when that was.
Well, I got it in paperback in the early 90s when I was 17 and working at a bookstore. Not the one where I met Junk Shop, but one of my first jobs.
Yeah.
So I had a discount. That's I don't know why I remember that, but yeah, that's where I got it. But it had already been out for a while. So this would have been like 1994.
Exactly 1990. It was 1990 when it was first published. So that is when I first bought the novel. Wow, that would have been the first novel I bought when I finished high school.
I have my own angel, and he may very well be a demon. Definitely an asshole.
That sounds like a person.
But
I like it.
Like most British comedy, especially satire that delves with sci-fi and fantasy elements.
Yeah.
A lot of the humor for Good Omens comes from the absurdity that the fantastic clashing with the mundane, that results from the fantastic clashing with the mundane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Crowley has this devious plan in the 70s to make this particular highway that I'm forgetting the name of.
The M24 is Crowley's fault.
Yeah, it's Crowley's fault. So if you've ever been, and I've heard of this infamous freeway or whatever it is before, and I live in the States and I've never been to London, so I've heard about this. It must be bad. So it is, but it's done in he has it done in such a way that it later, traps him, and then he has to do this kind of stuff. But anyway, I like that. I love that Aziraphale gives the flaming sword to Adam and Eve, because he was like, well, it was very cold and she's expecting. He's like, and then in the background you see Adam fighting off a lion with the flaming sword, and it's like he takes on this Prometheus role where he's like, heaven won't miss it. They don't ask him about it
Prometheus,
for thousands of years, so he had good reason.
But later in the series / book when Crowley shows up in the burning Bentley and runs into the neighborhood watch.
I've forgotten that.
That's the perfect example of the fantastic, the absurdity that happens when the fantastic clashes with the mundane.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's been it's been more than 2 decades, I now realize, since I read the book. And so it's
hello, Ilya.
Hey, Ilya Moon. I love that the Antichrist's fate comes down to a botched game of 3-card Monty. That's pretty funny. Or 3 baby Monty, if you want. So really? All right.
Well, and of course, the Antichrist has such precious toesy woesies.
He does. He does. Thank you, Sister Loquacious, which is the best name for a nun ever.
Yeah, the Chattering Order of Satanic Nuns.
Yeah. Also, Julie, can I just ask, am I the only ex-Catholic who looked at that and was well creeped out by those nuns?
I was well creeped out, but also kind of excited because they were chattering satanic nuns instead of silent Christ nuns. So,
I do like, again, it's the inversion there, isn't it, of a silent order versus the chattering nuns of the devil.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, no, we're going to talk.
The devil makes what is it? The devil makes work. No. Something about idle chatter. It's that old proverb thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, idle hands, but then also like something about idle. Yeah, you're right. I know what you're getting at, but I can't remember either. All right.
Their sect of nuns would be way more interesting to be part of the natural nuns.
It would be, absolutely. I really want to know what their Saturday nights were like. So I had no idea. And what I wrote as a note was I had no idea Ron Swanson was in this show.
Oh yeah.
His actual name is Nick Offerman. I cannot think of him as Ron Swanson.
Yeah, when I saw, Nick Offerman as the American diplomat, I'm like, that's just perfect casting right there.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. I love this. This is one of my favorite quotes from the whole thing, and it's Crowley again, and it's, what's worse is when it's all over, you've got to deal with eternity, and that was like one of those great, like, absolutely, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I got happier after I became an atheist was I didn't have to contemplate eternity anymore.
That's like even eternity of paradise is.
I think it would become hell eventually. Yeah. You can only sing "Praise Be to God" so many times,
or listen to the sound of music.
Humanity. random and unpredictable for them. Humanity was great for them because it was random and unpredictable.
Yeah.
The concepts that the angels and demons have for eternity were boring.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
Wanted it. Like, we can't have that. It's fucking boring.
No. Yes, it is. And it's just also quite literally black and white.
Yeah.
Or gray pustules and tan. You know, there was just no.
And
there was,
Thank
and
you,
of
Elliot.
course, Crowley has something other demons lack in imagination.
Yes, he does, and that's how he's able to drive his Bentley through fire and believe it'll hold together.
So, since we are talking about the angels and demons, another great theme explored in the in the book, in the series, is the the quote unquote dichotomy between evil and good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done, one with the pairing of Aziraphale and Crowley, but it's also done with another, supposedly opposed pairing.
Yeah, are you talking about the Russian agent and the MI5 agent?
No, but that is a good example, albeit because it's not as prominently featured as the one I'm thinking of.
Super brief. Okay, yeah.
Anathema Device and Witchfinder Private Parzival.
That's right. The descendant of the last woman to be burnt at the stake for witchcraft, who was actually made accurate prophecies, and a and a witchfinder. That is great.
Yeah.
So, what was your thought when she burned the nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter? Was it Agnes Nutter? At the end there, because I thought it was. I don't know if I could have done it. Yeah. It's one of those things where I get it. Like, I'm glad she was embracing her freedom and choosing to live life on her own terms. But at the same time, I was like, "Oh, but one of them said, watch out for that loose step when you're in in 2016 or something."
I also, I liked it because it subverted the trope of the setup sequel.
Oh, that's fair. Good. Yeah, that's a good point. Because we wouldn't want them to continuously just going back and have that Deus Ex Machina of her prophecies happening all the time.
But,
it never intended to write a sequel in the first place, so that was the whole point. There was never going to be another book in that series. It was a one-off. As far as Pratchett and Gaiman were concerned, this was a one-off story, and that was all. So anybody going, please make a second series.
Yes, I want the war between heaven and hell and humanity to happen.
Yeah.
But I also respect the fact that they never wanted a sequel. They wanted it.
And it works very well as just a standalone book.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those frustrating things you get, like, especially as a fan of Terry Pratchett, when you know that there was a hard drive. That Terry Pratchett had been working on 5 other books when he died, and they were all in various stages of completion, and his dying wish was to have that destroyed. And Rhianna Pratchett had it destroyed at a tractor day in the UK where they drove a tractor over the hard drive, so it's completely trashed. There is no way to ever get any of that data back. It's gone, it's done, that's it. And no one, and she, as long as she is alive, is never going to allow anybody to, apart from fan fiction, is never going to allow anybody to write any stories in Pratchett's universe.
Yeah, no official,
There will,
I want to. You just mentioned it. Fan fiction. Gaiman and Pratchett's thing with fan fiction. Gaiman is very ardently in support of fan fiction writers. And Pratchett seems to have been very much let fan fiction writers do what they will.
Exactly.
And it's really nice to see that.
Well, Gaiman is pro writers.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did a great courses on creative writing. Like he's just, I mean, hey, you want to write? Do it. Here's what I know.
They are so secure in their work that they don't care if people are writing fan fiction or not, because they know the work stands on its own. And if as a writer, I think Gaiman's got the right idea of. It's actually this is something I wanted to point out, because Gaiman is very pro fan fiction, very pro writer. It's very hard to write good Game of Thrones fan fiction because the level of writing in the book is so good. Yeah. Fan fiction to me is summed up as, if you want it done right, do it yourself. But it's already been done right in canon. There's not much left to fix.
You said Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is
not Game of Thrones. Good Omens.
Yeah.
No, but I think where you can get into fan fiction with where you could certainly with Pratchett is Discworld, and with Gaiman, Sandman and everything that came off of that, because they're great world builders. So you've got this huge world that you could make new characters.
I have a suspicion, despite what Rhianna said, and with the stuff that has happened, she is working on the project to make a TV series of the Tiffany Aching books. To my mind, there are better kids' stories than Harry Potter, much better written, and the characters are more engaging. But while it gets to a sort of end with where Terry Pratchett got to in his last book, it wasn't fully completed. The book was, but the storyline wasn't fully completed.
Yeah.
There were some leftover strands, and I suspect that in doing a TV series, she may try to tie them together. Not actually write a whole new episode to it, but tie it up. So I suspect the TV series won't exactly follow where the books went to some extent, which is fine, because I think her dad gave his total blessings for her to do this before he died. So
yeah, and it's a different medium. So I mean, there's some things are going to change.
Yeah, originally Sony were going to be involved and they were going to make movies, apparently, but Rhianna got sick of the politics behind it, so her own production studio is actually working on the project. So it'll be so true to the stuff that it should be brilliant.
So yeah, and as Julie mentioned, TV is a different medium from books, and of course, when you adapt from one medium to another, there are challenges that you need to face, that you need to address. In my opinion, Good Omens definitely well surpassed those obstacles.
Yeah. And I think, do you know what I'm learning? The more I watch sort of different things and I look at studying media, I'm beginning to find that when you get actual prose novels, I'm beginning to see that the adaptations are always better when it's done in an episodic format like a TV show rather than a film, because there's more space to explore, there's more opportunity, and you don't have to cram it all into an hour and a half or 2 hours.
For sure.
What you lose in special effects, you make up for in story generally.
Yeah. And it's the story that matters a lot of the time.
And even, well, I almost don't want to say this because it seems like a mean thing to say about novels, and read a book. But even character development, because you can get deeper because you have more time in a TV series, depending on how long it goes, like you said. So you can get like actually, just to jump back to Game of Thrones for 2 seconds, there's that really interesting scene in the first season between Cersei and Robert, King Robert, and they interviewed the author about that, whose name just went out of my head.
George R. Martin.
Thank you, George R. Martin. And he said that was actually something that was really fun for him to see, because the books are written from different characters, first-person accounts. And if you, but he never wrote from Cersei's first person. So he said, I could never have written that scene because it wouldn't fit the format. And so it's really cool that we get this scene between this husband and wife who, you know, kind of hate each other, but have all this
I just want to jump in. Jeff, you had sold me on reading Sandman comics. The problem is you haven't sold my schedule. I need it clearing.
That's fair.
But I've got a week off work, I think, week after next. That I had to take holiday, so I've got like a dozen films and you name it, so I'll get around to it.
So I wrote a note here because there's that great moment when John Hamm, who plays Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, says he's talking about we have to have a war so we can win it. Yeah. And I instantly popped in my head back to my childhood and like the tail end of the Cold War, and I was like, heaven's just another superpower that wants to win.
Yeah.
And so is hell. And
the reason they both want the war is because they both think that they'll win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Foolish.
Well, it's more
heaven
certain that it's more heaven certain that they'll win, and
because
hell,
of the great plan.
Yeah, and hell wants revenge.
Yeah, hell is like the Confederacy trying to make a comeback. Don't do that, y'all. Bad idea. Don't do it.
Well, I mean, am I the only one who found that the whole plot of Good Omens felt very much like, especially given when it was released as well, it felt very much like it could be a fantastical rendering of a potential outcome of the Cold War. They've spent all this time, quietly needling each other, proxy wars through tempting different people and all the rest of it. Yeah. And then they tried to bring it up to this one big knockdown blowout fight. And what happens is you get the kid in the middle, which is essentially, he's basically a microcosm for your Berliners who finally decided to stop this and brought the wall down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, mutually assured destruction first, but then, and they even want to, and then exactly what Hissy just said, but they're even going to kick off the war between heaven and hell with a nuclear war between all of these nations. And that's a tough moment.
Okay, so I can tell from the nuclear war to two different themes, and I think I'll go with the first one, and I'll go for one, and we'll save talking about the Horsemen for a bit down the road.
The Horsemen are awesome.
Yes,
but so the plan actually being have everything kicked off by a nuclear. Global nuclear war of everyone against everyone kind of ties into the theme that it's actually the humans that screw everything up. Humans don't really need angels and demons to be good or evil.
Yeah, don't they?
Crowley took credit for the M20.
He takes credit for everything, but that he can. But like sometimes. When he's just talking,
with the exception of the M24,
all
the greatest evils were done just by humans being human.
Yeah, because somebody mentions, I think they mentioned World War II.
Yeah,
and Crowley's like, oh, that was humans. We didn't do that.
Aziraphale mentions the Spanish Inquisition in World War II, and Crowley says the humans beat me to it.
Yeah, beat me to
and
it.
It's very much. The French Revolution as well.
Yes.
In the middle of it.
Yeah, because Paris, 1793, I've got written down.
You don't have to do anything to make humans do bad things. They do it all. But what you can make, once they start getting these ideas about bad things, make sure they happen. Which is Crowley's whole thing on being a demon. His was like, well, I can have fun of not making these happen. So I don't even have to come up with the ideas. I can just point them in directions. And the human
All
circle.
I have to do is sign off on it.
Yeah, the only thing Crowley was actually shown to have done, aside from the bit where he was fomenting rebellion against Camelot, was
and they get in this argument about what fomenting for what. So great.
And was switching, changing the M24 so it became a giant glyph that translates to "Hail the Great Beast, Devourer of Worlds."
Yeah, and he didn't even have to do all that much. He just added a couple of extra junctions.
Yeah.
And it is just, and I'm sorry, if anyone who's ever actually been on the M24, yeah, yeah.
Is it like driving in Atlanta?
It is the work of the devil.
Excellent.
The Atlanta Ring Road, and that's a freaking nightmare. The one that goes up around the city. So that's a horrible, horrible road. I mean, it was when I was there. That was quite a few years ago now, but it's
yeah. I have a non freeway related question. How did you guys feel about the Hellhound and the fact that it got its purpose from its name?
Yeah.
That was interesting to me.
Well,
how fantastic was that?
Oh, and the whole, like, a bunch of the stuff in regards to the Antichrist subplot really ties into the names have power trope. Because the actual Antichrist is named Adam.
Yeah.
And Adam names his dog.
Yep.
Dog, yeah.
Like Adam named all the animals. And at the end, when Aziraphale tells that they have that breakaway moment.
Yeah.
And he tells Adam that he was afraid that Adam would be quintessentially I'm misphrasing this. Evil. Yeah, evil or quintessentially like of heaven. But he said you're neither. You're better than that. You're quintessentially human.
Yeah,
he doesn't say it like that.
You're not good incarnate or evil incarnate. You are human incarnate.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And that was just brilliant.
And that's the thing, the power of names. When Adam looks up at the devil and says, "But you're not my dad.
You're not my father."
Yeah.
And he has to say it 3 times to get Benedict Cumberbatch back down. But yeah, it works.
It's the denial 3 times, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, what I enjoyed about this whole thing, that there's and I'm sure Julie knows it. There's a hymn in Catholicism, and the line in the hymn goes, "I have called you by your name, you are mine."
Yes.
I think it's said
and
in
now
the
that's going to be in my head. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had the tune stuck in my head for the last 2 days. You're welcome.
We'll share that headache together.
Yeah. And this is the whole thing with Adam. His friends are what Adam said. Adam has the power to has the power of God, which is, if you look in the Old Testament, and God spoke, and the word was God. It's the word that holds the power.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that in a book, the entire message is words have power.
Yeah, which is great because they do. And then I mean, not magical power, but they have power over, because ideas are very powerful and imagination is very powerful.
Yeah, you can't kill an idea.
Action. Yeah, you can't. We wouldn't be talking right now if no one had imagination. We wouldn't know each other, which is really sad.
Yeah.
I know.
Made me cry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, hell is the DVLA. Like as a grotty, like some kind of grotty tenement apartment block with queues like the DVLA is just the best. Everyone does Fire and Brimstone, and I was so glad Good Omens didn't.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a really grotty DVLA office or something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or like a really grotty abandoned university campus.
Yeah.
Heaven looks like a lawyer's firm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, way too glassy.
Lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Gabriel has got that really gross, slick lawyer ambulance chaser vibe.
And also like creepy rich. Like
Yeah.
this is I
No
don't
way,
know
this
how to
shit's
talk
really
to
cool.
you.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so how cool was it that since Agnes knew she was going to be burned at the stake, she had the gunpowder with all the nails in it
Yeah.
in
That's
the pyre?
brilliant.
I'll show
Yeah.
come and see how the last witch dies.
I was just like, go girl, that's for all of us. That's for every old lady who somebody's land wanted to steal her land. That's for everybody who was falsely accused of that nonsense. Because guess what? Magic isn't real. But also for neo-pagans, that had to be affirming. So I'll be nicer. I'm sorry.
Did you really enjoy that bit?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that bit because I was just like, go, yay! Fight back!
Well,
yeah, exactly.
And it's like, to the milkman, stop delivering my milk. I won't be needing it anymore.
And they're late. I love that they're late. Like it's so beautifully snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I foresaw this, and you're taking like 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. I also made a note that's a useful combination. Not sure what I meant by that at the time. It was very late.
Probably gunpowder and nails.
Gunpowder and nails, yeah. That's a useful. I'm not planning anything. I think I was just commenting on. Oh, that was clever.
Yeah.
Oh, and the 1980s note, the note for 1980 that said invest the money in Mr. Jobs designs. I was like,
yeah.
In
1980,
don't buy Betamax.
Don't buy Betamax.
Yeah. In 1980, there will grow an apple that you cannot eat.
Yeah. No,
be shrewd and invest in Mr. Jobs' design.
Yeah. And that's part of the apple symbolism.
Yeah. Which is very cleverly done.
Yeah.
It is.
And of course, nothing bad ever came from taking an apple that you shouldn't have.
Eve, the first person not to read the Apple terms and conditions.
But now I have to ask, did Apple legitimately choose as the original logo a rainbow-colored apple for the double symbolism?
I don't know. I think it was just kind of they were children of the 70s and rainbows were big. Like everything was kind of rainbow colored. I don't know though.
So I think I'm not sure why exactly their name was Macintosh, but a Macintosh is a type of apple, so it could be, hello, Scummer.
Hey, Jeff.
The earlier apples came before the Macintosh, and the leaf was the precursor to the Macintosh. So they chose Macintosh because it was a type of apple. Yeah. But why was apple chosen? Why was the rainbow apple chosen as the original logo?
Yeah.
No idea. I have to look that up.
Maybe
you'd be something I'd know that I don't.
I think it's because Granny Smith isn't a very good name for a computer.
No, it's not.
I mean, in the UK, you have both orange and tangerine, as well as acorn.
Acorn's the big one.
Yeah, and you guys have a raspberry and
tangerine. So,
and they picked the name Acorn just because it was before Apple in the phone book.
Yeah.
That was marketing back then. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I actually received a genuine paper-made phone book the other day.
Oh my god!
I didn't realize they still sent them out. I actually got this year's phone book.
Wow. They still leave them. They leave the yellow pages on our stoop periodically, and I'm like, great, you killed a bunch of trees that I'm gonna throw away. Yeah. And it's
a phone book.
Yeah. But they don't have white pages anymore. So if you want to look up someone's number, it's almost impossible. And I know it's because we all have mobile phones now, but it's just it's
no. I think this is what you call the white pages, because the yellow pages is something slightly different.
Oh yeah, the yellow pages are just advertising on businesses.
Well, and businesses, business phone numbers.
Yeah. So really quickly, I'm sorry, Jen.
I was going to say, I just looked it up. Steve Wozniak said categorically they called themselves Apple because he and Jobs were throwing around names and they couldn't come up with anything better. So that was purely it. That they were sitting there talking about different names. Somebody had an Apple and somebody said, let's just call ourselves Apple. All right, nobody objects. Right, we're Apple.
It works. Okay, one of my favorite quotes from the whole series was, or the whole season was, this is the narrator says it. Most books on witchcraft will tell you that witches perform witchcraft naked. That's because most books on witchcraft are written by men.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Having the comedic, the comedic asides done as, God as voiced by Francis McDormand, just narrating was a brilliant choice for the adaptation.
It really was.
I'm encouraged to come in, but I've got to be honest, and I'm a big Neil Gaiman fan, but I have never really got a chance to read Good Omens or watch the TV series, but I'm just loving some of the things you're talking about.
Cool.
And I mean, I know Terry Pratchett's more known for the humor or whatever. Neil Gaiman is very good at a lot of these sort of humorous takes upon things within his like the comics or within some of his novels of for example, I don't give too much away, but like in the Sandman things where like Lucifer decides to quit hell, it's just brilliant.
I'm going to say, while I've got another Brit on, Crowley is basically a mean Prince Charles.
Yeah.
He talks to his plants, but he doesn't just talk, he yells at them.
Yeah. He puts the fear of him into them.
He does, of him into them. He destroys, and he destroys the ones that get spots, and then he brings back the empty pot to show the others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
he has the most verdant and large house plants in all of London, and also the most terrified.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know, there was an attempt to make a film version of Good Omens back in 2002. It never quite got off the ground, but the rumor was that it was Johnny Depp cast as Crowley and Robin Williams as Azrael. So
I mean, that could have worked.
Yeah,
that could have worked.
Especially Robin Williams.
It's hard to imagine now because now they're just in my head as.
Oh, they definitely are.
Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
Yeah, and is it just me, or has David Tennant been typecast?
Maybe.
David Tennant has always done kind of even before Doctor Who, though, he's done certain, I think you could say, a little bit eccentric kind of roles or whatever.
Well, didn't he come up through the Royal Shakespeare Company?
Yeah, he did Hamlet. His Hamlet is amazing. And you can see it on I forget if it's on YouTube or if Netflix was doing the Royal Shakespeare Company for a long time. I can't remember. But I was able to show the one with Derek Jacobi playing Hamlet to a class one year because it was on Netflix. But oh my gosh. When he showed up as Metatron, I geeked out hard.
I'll say one of my the earliest things I ever remember seeing David Tennant on TV when he was very young was that he actually played a transgender woman on an episode of a sitcom called Rabsy Nesbitt, which was the Scottish.
He did, didn't he? I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you know, and it's probably okay. It's dated now. It's not necessarily a good representation of trans people now, but for the time, it was
very, it was
it
brave.
was very and
It's actually one of the roles he regrets playing.
So
yeah,
Yes.
because it doesn't hold up now, perhaps.
Yeah.
But,
I think perhaps now because we've moved to a point where we're saying if you've got a trans
Yeah.
character, hire a trans actor.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Probably.
So,
well,
that being so, I'm gonna.
That being said,
that being said, I'm gonna steer us back onto Good Omens by saying, you know, seeing Crowley as the nanny, female David Tennant is hot.
Yeah. It did not hurt things for me.
I'm so glad my husband said that because now I can admit it too.
I was all right with it.
I was okay with that. See, this is the thing. Like, I just and he's just there's a lot of playing around with sex and gender and gender presentation in this series.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of interesting that that you know their plan originally was to get the balance out the Antichrist essentially, but because the baby swap got bungled without them knowing it, the Antichrist that they tried to balance, so the actual Antichrist grew up normal, and Warlock is kind of a little shit.
Yeah.
I
mean,
the thing is, he's stereotypically what Brits think of when we think of American kids.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's terrifying. But fair. When he meets the one demon and tells him he smells like poo, and that's the only thing he'll say about him. Although hang on, that's Haster, right?
Yeah,
Haster. Yeah. Great. That was the only bit where I was like, oh God, mealworms. No, come on, stop. Haster was the only one that actually legitimately grossed me out, and that's I'm impressed by that because I watch a lot of horror movies. So that's Ned Donahue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Beelzebub and all the flies grossed me out. I couldn't.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But it was accurate.
Though I love how Haster's like so very much behind the times.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't know what anything is.
Tempting a priest and Crowley's going on the internet.
Yeah. And shutting down all the mobile, and then they don't even understand like how much chaos that would cause.
Yeah.
They don't even get it.
And and like even in this, even when Crowley was explaining what he did with the M25, Haster's, what's a computer?
Ugh,
yeah.
Like, what's happening? Yeah, it's and the other Duke of Hell that was with him was Liger. Like, is that how you say that?
Yeah, I think so.
It's played by Ariam Bakare, which I'm also probably butchering. Horribly sorry.
Also,
about that.
Also it's interesting that, heaven is authoritarian while hell's like an oligarchic republic almost.
Yes. Funny that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all these rebels are like just rebelling together. And I mean, they do have a leader that they're scared to death of. So there is that. But you're right.
Yeah,
like
but
heaven is much more close ranks.
And
the scene with the military lineup in heaven is just hilarious.
Yeah.
There's a war on.
You were issued with a flaming sword. Oh.
So, yeah.
No,
and
like,
a body.
You were issued with a flaming sword, I know. No, you were issued with a body. Where is it?
Oh my gosh.
And hello to Santi the Same.
Hey, Santi.
Hey, Santi.
Santi.
You're beautiful too.
No, it's I think what's fun about heaven is everyone has had an experience of working somewhere like that at least once.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're total opposites on the surface. Like even visually, heaven's very bright, hell's very dank. Heaven's very clean, hell's very dirty. Heaven's very empty, hell's very busy.
Yeah.
They have polar opposites, but when you scratch the surface, they're exactly the same.
And
corporate bull underneath.
And I love. So this one scene. Well, it's less a scene, more continuous shot, where Crowley and Aziraphale are going in to report, and they go to the
main
and they go to the pair of escalators.
Yeah.
And then, Aziraphale continues up the escalator and Crowley just disappears, but you see his reflection going down the escalator.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And the other cool one, oh gosh, I wrote down. Oh yeah, of course. No, I don't even want to say this right now because it's like the quintessential quote from the whole for Crowley's whole character. So I'm gonna skip that. And yeah, they at one point Aziraphale uses the term like in the 19th century flashback. He's like, I knew I was fraternizing, and I wrote fraternizing. I'd love to queer theory that scene in 19th century England. So just to jump back really quickly to what we said, but it's so nice to know that was their intention because that makes me feel very happy.
I think what Gaiman said was in the book it was subtext, but in the TV show it's canon because the TV show had more scope to explore that relationship.
Well, and it's all done in their facial expressions, and there was one moment where I straight up thought they were going to kiss. They got really close. To each other's faces, and I really thought they were going to kiss, and I really wanted them to kiss.
Go on, Jeff.
One thing I do know is I've got to watch this series now. And as unfortunately, it's like another like Neil Gaiman work or whatever that's been turned into a TV series. Now I've read the book, like the extended version of the book. Never watched the TV series. It's American Gods.
I haven't seen that either.
I haven't seen the series. The book is amazing, and
the book's awesome.
And a lot of some of the themes you can see with kind of characters like gods and demons or whatever, and some of the way they're portrayed or whatever is. I think I'm seeing a lot of similar things, kind of put into this. I mean. I think American Gods is obviously a little less humorous than Good Omens, but
though there is a really nice Easter egg near the end of the series when they're all approaching the military base. The airman on guard is reading American Gods.
That's what I knew. Thank you. I knew it was one of Neil's books, but I could not Neil like another guy. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I do because I'm a fan. I don't know him at all. But I knew it was one of his books, and I couldn't catch the title. I've got the Norse mythology one too right now.
Brilliant read.
Yeah, and I caught. I grabbed when I was in Heathrow. I grabbed the Marquise coat, which is just a tiny little short that I'd never seen in a we only have one like Plum bookstore left in my entire city, so we bought up more books than anything.
So obviously that as well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's Death, the High Cost of Living.
Yeah, Death, High Cost of Living. And have you read Death? I think it's A Day in the Life, or
I haven't read the other one. So actually,
it's the other. It's the other single. Yeah, it's somewhere in a closet. Anyway,
so
sorry, guys.
I think at least we fairly well, explored the false dichotomy of good and evil as presented in Good Omens. Where it's not, there isn't really that much of a dichotomy. So we're let's go ahead and move into the environmental themes.
Oh, yeah. I love how, wait, were we going to save the horseman?
Well, you know what? Let's be, like the fact that Plague had retired and was replaced with pollution.
That's
very cleverly done.
Yeah,
really
it was
And
very
it's
well.
one of the few times I've seen that done, and it didn't feel preachy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I did like the was it Brian or Wensleydale? I forget which one. It was either Brian or Wensleydale that got that one and said, "I believe in a clean earth" or whatever. And
again, that's some definite sort of like again some parallels I could draw with American Gods there with what the new gods are.
Yeah.
Like.
But
so
you know what? Yeah, let's continue on with the horsemen, because
can I just point something out about the horsemen?
Yeah.
Okay, they all rode motorcycles, and all of their gear matched their motorcycles.
Yes.
Now on screen, that looks okay. Let me just warn you, in real life, if you're ever thinking about getting a motorcycle, if your gear matches your bike, you're not a biker, you're a Power Ranger.
That's
no, only if you ride a sports bike, Kissy.
Now I know the horsemen are evil and all that, except maybe arguably death, because we kind of have to have death. But War, how cool is it that War was a woman? Like I got really excited.
Well, also that was straight from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so War's day job before while she's waiting for the apocalypse is as a war correspondent.
Mm-hmm.
Going into conflict areas and stirring things, and using her warly influence to stir things up a bit.
Yeah, I didn't get it written down, but it was something like a peace can fall apart so easily.
Well,
something like that.
The line, I think you're referring to the introductory, narration by God is occasionally peace breaks out.
Oh, peace! Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, occasionally peace breaks out. There we go. Because that's what makes it funny. Yeah, we talk about war breaking out. Thank you.
Famine is an inventor and promoter of fad diets.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant, is that?
Yeah, it is. Like that whole freaky, like, here's a lavender inhale as a starter, and they like pop a plastic bag.
Yeah, and of course selling the chow, which is not legally food, and do not call it food.
And do not call it food.
I do sort of vaguely remember. Didn't Pestilence retire on the discovery of penicillin or something?
Oh yeah, I don't think. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't mention that it was like modern medicine that caused Pestilence to retire.
Yeah, I heard
in the series, but yeah, if I remember right, in the book, it was penicillin that caused Pestilence to retire and pollution to take their place.
Yeah, there is this race, it seems like, between what science is finding out and what religion is actually still happening, because the two main characters are an angel and a demon, right? They're not there.
See, I think they could bring pest. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just they could have waited until 2020.
I was just saying they could bring Pestilence back as an anti-vaxxer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there was this constant race, and it sort of foreshadowed the ending. A bit. Yeah, and the whole great plan versus the ineffable
plan.
Yeah.
So here now, in regards to Death, because Death is the only one that doesn't really have a day job. Death is just Death, and as opposed to the other, four horsemen, Death is the only one that isn't a concept brought about by humans.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
So here's the question, knowing that this was a collaboration between Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Is Death the same Death that we know and
I don't think Death is
think
Dee Dee. I don't.
No, I mean,
However, in the
could
Discworld
death
book,
be the same death of the Discworld? Is what I was.
because in the Discworld books, the death of the Discworld is also the death of the multiverse. He travels everywhere until he splits himself up into multi-deaths, and you end up with the death of rats and death.
I doubt very seriously it's Neil Gaiman's death.
Yeah, but that being said, I can't remember if death speaks in all caps in Good Omens.
I'd have to find it, and I have no clue which bookshelf it's on.
I know where mine is, but it'll take me a while to go and get it.
Yeah.
That's weird though, because you got these two authors that have got their very own quite iconic versions of death.
Yeah, personification.
And obviously, I'm very, very familiar with Neil Gaiman's one, which I think is cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And most people, I'm not massively into Discworld, but everyone kind of tells me that like Death is the best character in that by a mile. So you're like two very iconic personifications. I almost wonder how they got together and wrote this.
And of course, I love how they, instead of being horsemen, they're bikers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I am kind of disappointed that we didn't get the lesser bikers of the apocalypse.
Sorry. In the books, Death exclusively speaks in caps.
No, in Good Omens.
In Good Omens, yes.
So
our Amazon subtitles, he does not. But that would just be the subtitling.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say it. It is at least my headcanon that Good Omens' death is also Discworld death.
Well, that would make sense because it's a multiverse in Pratchett. So
and
could
of
be
course,
anywhere.
There's that. When Death is confronting Adam, he reveals himself as a force of creation. And
Neil
Gaiman the darkness.
In an interview, it is Terry Pratchett's death.
Yeah.
I always
the same character.
You always get the feeling this might be maybe something that they kind of had to compromise on whose version of Death was going to be in this.
I don't think they could have used Dee Dee. She's too likable.
Yeah.
She's like, because I remember an interview with him, and I'm sorry, I can't cite where. With Neil Gaiman, and where he said when he came up with the concept of her, for her, he tried to think, all right, if there is an afterlife, who would I want to see when I died? And then he made this like cute goth chick. And was like, okay, that was
cute goth chick who's really nice and sweet to everyone.
Anyways, and I understand why they didn't put them in the in the series, because it would have bogged down the plot a little bit, in my opinion. But in the book, the instead of meeting at a cafe, the horsemen meet at a biker bar. And
it's a roadside cafe, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
it looks like a diner to me, but that might just be because I'm from the States.
And
well, cafes are always a biker hangout, I can tell you that much.
Mm.
And these four bikers are just kind of hanging out as well, and they kind of get swept up into it and start becoming the lesser bikers of the apocalypse. Each becoming the biker of like mundane, niggling inconveniences.
Nice.
And up until the moment, it was like, wait, we're like, why aren't we in Revelations? And then they all like get into a crash and die. So it's a fun little plot, but it ultimately doesn't go anywhere. So I understand why they cut it out of the adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to cut something.
Yeah.
I liked this a lot. I just asked questions. That's all it took to be a demon in the old days.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I had real feelings about that for Crowley. Like, I really sympathized.
because he gets really impassioned, and he says, "God, something." Because I missed part of it. You said you'd test them, but you shouldn't test them to destruction, not to the end of the world. And he's like yelling at God. And who hasn't had that moment? But
you know,
it was good.
You know, it was one day in heaven that the food was bad, and look, it's Lucifer and the boys.
Yeah,
yeah, because Crowley didn't so much as fall as vaguely
vaguely downward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'll say, except for the fact that Crowley is a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Like his that scene after Aziraphale is has accidentally banished himself.
Yeah.
I
think it's just because he likes it here.
Well, that scene where he's spiraling downward, aside from two things. One, that it's so sincerely shot and acted, and two, the fact that Crowley is a demon. That is almost if it weren't as good, it would be a textbook repentance scene from Christian media.
Yeah.
It's honestly shockingly sincere repentant scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's the point, isn't it? Because Crowley he's just the kid who asks too many questions. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the kid who gets kicked out of Sunday school and told to stand in the hallway because wouldn't know anything about that myself.
Mm.
Well, and that being said, there was an article that was published earlier, a couple weeks back, about how the Prince of Egypt is a great apostate story.
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's definitely one way to view it. Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna say that Aziraphale is probably also one of the better portrayals of an apostate. Who takes as they're taking that journey.
Yeah, I mean, he just sort of goes native. He never full on betrays anything, and in fact, he gets really timid at times. He's like, "Whoa, hang on, is this crossing a line?" But
I think he does. He reminds me a little bit of early supernatural Castiel, who loved humanity so much.
Yeah,
and it's this idea: God tells angels to love humanity, but then he did it too much.
Yeah.
And that's all Aziraphale ever did. He just loved humanity too much. He was too nice. And it, a little bit of gluttony in there, but
and Gabriel was a prick.
Yeah, and keep discussing amongst yourselves. I'll be back momentarily.
Okay, really quickly about the did I make this up in my head? Because I was watching this very late at night. But was War the only horseman who had an American accent? Because if so, I love that, and it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah. Although I did amuse me that most of the angels, Gabriel, had he's got that American thing going on.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the pushy people had American accents, and I thought that was fitting and fair. I'm not at all offended by that. I'm like, yeah, please. Take us down 8 million pegs because we need it.
Yeah, no, there is a trope historically that British people are the villains, and this really got turned on its head with this show. I do love the idea, though, that for essentially when you look at the things Aziraphale did, he likes books, he likes wine, he likes good food, he likes all the things that make living worthwhile.
Yeah.
And
he can dance.
He can dance.
I mean, he can only do one dance, but he's the only angel that can dance. So that's cool.
And it's just really beautiful because he's living the life of a human being.
Yeah. for thousands of years, which is kind of a fascinating idea. Like, just being on Earth for that long. I mean, they're not humans, so that probably helps. But like, you would think that long of a lifespan would drive a human being insane, but he just keeps finding new ways to enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's like with Aziraphale when he said, I wanted crepes, and you can't get crepes like you can get in Paris.
Yeah.
And so he just popped over in the middle of a revolution.
Yeah, looking like an aristocrat.
Yeah, because all these things that are going on in humanity are so small to him that it doesn't even occur to him that they're anything more than a minor inconvenience.
Well, the political unrest didn't quite resonate. And I love how practical Crowley is in that moment, because he's like, but you had to dress like that. You had to be in those clothes. I've got to save you from the giant head cutting machine. Yeah. It's so great.
So, talking about how Aziraphale is the only angel that can dance, comes, it's one of my favorite bits in the book, and I'm glad that I'm very glad that they, adapted it into the series. And, well, it is kind of, it is essential to understand what's going on. But the angels dancing on a head of a pin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Monologue.
Yeah. The answer is one. And he can only do the one dance. He was very sad when it went out of fashion.
Yeah. However, demons can dance, albeit very badly.
And they show disco. That's how disco happens. In case you were wondering.
One thing I wanted to talk about costumes. And the importance of how these characters are dressed and the way they look.
Yeah.
Because, especially on the back of Aziraphale in France, is this idea of very much clothes maketh the man, the angel, the demon, whoever.
Yeah.
Every character is very carefully dressed, and it's deliberate. Gabriel is the uptight suit. You've got, the like,
the yuppie $500 turtleneck.
The military fella in a white uniform.
Yeah.
The demons are all in leather or in mold. Crowley's,
Sergeant Shadwell is wearing a very obviously shabby military-esque uniform.
Yeah. Because really
decently dressed demon of the lot of them.
Oh, he looks so good. Yeah. And the sunglasses, and the fact that in the Bentley he's got extra pairs. He opens that console and there's like
and
also the car, the Bentley.
The Bentley.
The Bentley is the best fictional vehicle ever, and I will fight you on that.
I am having a moment.
Yeah. It's like, I am very much like that bit with Crowley on his knees looking at the car is, to me, for a moment, it's as heartrending as the scene in season 2 Supernatural where Dean trashed the town.
Oh God, that.
Well, I just had I just had to Google that because I said I watched Good Omens. That is an awesome Bentley, by the way.
Yeah.
That is
90 years without a scratch, he says.
Yeah. He has to burn it up.
And 90 years without a scratch the way he drives it.
Yeah.
And he drives it like a lunatic. That line from Aziraphale, "You go too fast for me, Crowley." So anyone else's heart breaks.
Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because that was quite clearly Crowley coming on to Aziraphale, and Aziraphale felt like too much, too fast.
Yeah. Oh.
Aziraphale is so the dandy.
Yeah. He is.
He's
adorable.
Very much the dandy.
He reminds me of one of my confirmed bachelor great uncles, who is no longer with us, sadly. But yeah,
he's got sort of the Alfred Lord Tennyson, Oscar Wilde kind of vibe, hasn't he?
Yes.
The John Pertwee Doctor Who.
And
so what Stephen Fry wishes he was.
Yeah. And
what Stephen Fry wishes he was. Yes.
Anyone who's watched this series would notice that that Queen is always playing while Crowley's driving.
The Bentley
Where
has
the
a
Bentley's
soundtrack, and it's all Queen.
in scene.
It's all Queen,
And
yeah.
that's because
Oh,
Oh no, I don't know why that is.
He froze. Why is that? It's because Shadwell
Oh.
thinks Crowley is his own son. that was a great little line that I loved. That was done very cleverly.
anybody
Ring
watching this later, we have technical difficulties.
Yeah,
Difficult.
sorry.
Ring.exe has failed. Please wait.
No, it's not.
Oh.
This has happened to me a few times, actually, sir.
Well, the stream will keep going, and we'll just keep going. Where were we at?
Well, this isn't where we were at, but we were there a minute ago, and before I forget it, I wanted to say it. Terry Pratchett won on his version of Death, but Neil Gaiman got a nice little Easter egg in the scene when the kids kill the horseman, and when Pepper kills War, she says, "I believe in peace, bitch," and shoves the flaming sword into War. That is a line from The Waitress. That's a Tori Amos song, and in Neil Gaiman's Sandman, one of the endless Delirium is based on Tori Amos. Boom, 90s kid right here.
I do have to say the use of expletives in this show is very cleverly done.
Yes,
Sparingly, but to excellent effect.
Yes, like when Crowley yells, "We're," you know, it's like that's such a huge moment. The word has so much power because they haven't just been throwing it around like I normally do all the time.
I stuck back to that thing about death being the death from Pratchett's. The other thing that Neil Gaiman said about that was, which because I read a bit further in the article, was the reason why the all caps was not used in the subtitles on Amazon is that they thought putting death words in all caps would actually make it harder for dyslexics.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I thought that was awesome.
That is awesome. Right on. Nice to be inclusive.
Nice that someone thought of us. Yeah.
I never have thought of that because my dyslexia doesn't have that problems between capitals and lower cases. It's just in general. So I wouldn't have thought that.
I think because block capitals, the letters look so similar, they can cause real issues, especially when you're trying to read quickly. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much it caught before I got cut out by the connection just dropping.
It was right before you said, and like before you said the answer to whatever it was you were saying.
Whatever you were telling us, we've got no idea.
So, you know, in the series, whenever the Bentley's in shot, Queen is always playing. Well, that's because in the book, the Bentley is always blasting Queen music.
Oh, just on its own?
Yeah.
It's like, this is my favorite band.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Nice.
Yeah, good choice.
I mean, the beauty of that Bentley is I can just imagine Brian May driving it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's in my head. I imagine Brian May driving that car.
That does sound like a bit of a Neil Gaiman thing because he's done little jokes around music like that before, and like in the Sandman comics, with when the Sandman's coming, and I think it's Constantine is constantly changing the radio station, and it was like first it's the Everly Brothers, dream, and then it turns it Mr. Sandman. What do you have to turn and then turns the dial again? It's exit light.
It's like they're trying. The universe is trying to tell you, John, wake up.
Yeah. It's like that joke there, isn't it, with Crowley fiddling with the radio when hell comes through.
Yeah. Or when Crowley is watching the little kitty cartoon on the big screen.
Oh God! And then Haster, and then he's like,
the combination of magic and technology in this show though is brilliant. Like the way Crowley uses the voice recorder and the phone to get away from Haster.
Yeah, and Haster just has no idea what's happening. So it's great.
And and is trapped there until a telemarketer calls.
Yeah, and then you get the mealworms.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the maggots.
That's so good. Okay. I'm okay. It's just a weird thing. I think it's been used in so many horror movies now that I'm just like, ugh, I have a revulsion response. Sorry, Brenda.
So there is one of the great like satirical bites that I love, and this ties in with back in with the environmental themes of the book. Is when the Kraken arises from the deep, and we get introduced to the legitimate Japanese scientific research vessel that is researching how many whales it can kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then the whole thing with Adam, who's like, why should we have to? It's something to the effect of, why should we have to fix a world that grown-ups messed up already when I could just remake it or something like that? It's when Adam goes through that bad, creepy moment where he makes this
lemon becoming a nuclear reactor.
The sherbet lemon. Actually, that. How creepy was it when he ordered his friends to smile?
Yeah.
I really wondered with one of the kids if they used CGI to make his mouth look a little whiter, because it just I
think they did some CGI in regards to those Joker smiles.
Yeah, and very well done, because it was hard to tell. And whoa, sorry.
Oh, by the way, I've just found an excellent. It's a bit of a. I've just found an excellent sort of quote from Terry Pratchett here about the book, about the way he and Neil Gaiman wrote this. And he said that what exactly the process was. He said one guy writes 2,000 words after 30 minutes on the phone. Blah, blah, blah. And he said I did most of the physical writing because one, Neil had to keep Sandman going. I could take time off from Discworld. Two, one person had to be the overall editor and stitching, filing everything, slicing. As I said before, it was me by agreement, and if it had been a graphic novel, it would have been Neil taking the chair for the exact same reasons. And number three, I'm a selfish bastard and tried to work right ahead before Neil got all the good bits.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, because they had a thing as well. They used to have in book signings. They had a joke where Terry would write one thing and Neil would write something else on the same page when they were signing.
Yeah.
And there's a lovely story Neil told about how after Terry died, someone brought him a copy of Good Omens that Terry had signed and asked him to sign it. And it's the last time he ever got to finish that joke.
Okay, you're gonna make me cry. But that's lovely.
But
don't worry, everything goes right now.
But yeah, it's you get the impression these two guys were really, they were good friends, and they quite clearly, they worked together really well.
Oh yeah.
But
because I think Neil spent a lot of time on Twitter talking about how Good Omens was absolutely going to respect the text and Terry's vision for it as well, because it was made after Terry died. And Neil was very adamant that, no, this is going to respect the vision of what the book was.
Yeah.
And stay very true to it, because it's kind of the first thing that was done after Terry had passed.
Yeah. And honestly, it worked well.
Yeah.
I think that's what all book adaptations need. They need someone there with creative control who actually cares about the book.
Yeah.
Agreed. And who's going to care about the fans as well.
Well, Neil Gaiman does tend to, unlike perhaps some other authors, he does like to be involved with creative in anything like a TV or film adaptation.
Yeah.
I think because he does want to keep it. I know. I think he's had quite a lot of involvement with American Gods. I think I know there's been in developmental hell for like years, but there was supposed to be a film version of Death, the High Cost of Living, but it's been in like developmental hell. But
so many great projects get killed that way.
Yeah, well, because there's been a few attempts to bring some of his comics to the film, but never got there. But which is ironically totally the opposite of, say, Alan Moore, who will not have anything to do with like anything he's written coming to film, which he just stays away from that.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Yeah, it feels like Alan Moore is like, once I finished it, I'm done with it.
And that may be true. I mean, this is a tiny example. I'm no freaking Alan Moore or Neil Gaiman by any means, but when I finished my master's thesis, it was in creative writing. So my thesis was a collection of short stories, and I've been working on this thing for 2.5 years. I got it back, the nice bound copy I paid for from my university. And I opened it up to a random page, saw a mistake, shut it, put it on a shelf, and didn't look at it again for 4 years. Because I was like, God, no, just no.
Neil Gaiman actually does tell a bit of a story about one of his first attempts at writing a comic, and he idolized Alan Moore at the time, and it just sort of actually got the chance to send something of this to Alan Moore, and Alan Moore's like, yeah, it's all right, it's not bad. It was not just like, but like, even though they're very friendly now, it was just quite an interesting, and the fact that like Gaiman, when the first sort of published book he ever got to write was he wanted, because he wrote for a company that published books about music, and he said, "Oh, I've got this good idea about like doing the thing about like the punk movement in British." And he says, "No, you're writing a biography of Duran Duran. Get on with it." And he's like, "Okay."
But like, so we have the dichotomy of evil good. We have the theme that it's actually humans that screw everything up.
Yeah, but it's also humans who can fix everything, because we're not all one way or the other.
Yeah.
But this is funny because it's very D&D in the way that I think. But I had forgotten this bit because, again, it's been like 20 years since I read the book.
Yeah.
So when the holy water didn't kill him, and when the hellfire didn't kill Aziraphale, I almost have to see his name to pronounce it. Anyway, I thought I wrote down. The angel and the demon managed to shift their alignments enough to survive hellfire and wait, nope, never mind, faces. Got it. So it's like, no.
Use your faces wisely.
Use your faces wisely. It was, and it was so great. It was so smooth. But like, honestly, for a minute, I thought, well, they've both been kind of dancing in each other's worlds a little bit, maybe. But no. And the way they did it actually made more sense.
I wondered if that had something to do with Adam. When I first saw it, I thought maybe that had something to do with Adam, that they could survive the other way around, but no.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Which would have been as well, but
oh yeah.
I just found something else googling about this. Apparently, there's a radio play version of this as well. It's Good Omens.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's a.
That's good to listen to at night before going to sleep.
That's fine. Apparently in there, there's a pair of traffic cops called Neil and Terry as well.
Oddly, does not surprise me. I mean, if you could, wouldn't you? Like,
I wonder if they're the same traffic cops that are on the other side of the M25 who like see the Bentley, and it's like, not our problem.
That's who I was thinking of. I was like, I bet it was those guys. Yeah.
Well, according to this, they actually voiced themselves in those roles for radio as well.
Oh my god! Okay, now we have to listen to the radio.
Yeah,
we have to find it. I think it's an old BBC radio play in 2014. So that'd probably be Radio 4 if it's a radio play. But
I think to piggyback on the environmental theme, we can kind of go with the ability of supernatural beings and the ability of humans to change the environment, change the world, to change reality. Because we go from like creation happening 6,000 years ago at 9:45 in the morning on a Thursday or whatever, and then which I found out recently, some Christians actually believe that. It's weird. It's like in October, a certain date, and I didn't know that, and it freaked me out. But anyway, and then so there's that, but then they also, they also present like, the universe being roughly 14 billion years old, I think is how they put it, and blah blah. But then like there's this great moment with the horsemen where the narrator says, and 4 monsters who came from the mind of humans. Yeah. So here you have God narrating and saying, but I didn't make all of this shit up.
Yeah. So though to be fair, only 3 of them are really monsters that came from the the mind of humans. Death is a fundamental part of the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a personification of death. Yeah. But death is that thing.
They're on Facebook.
Oh, they're on Facebook? Oh, you put the link. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I put the link.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to put it in our Twitter group too, so I can find it later.
Yeah, please do, because I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna have time right now.
Yeah, since you're going to be helping me out with Lit Month, I'll go ahead and just add you to the Twitter group.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have to post it again because it's probably.
Yeah, that's all I've got. I really wanted to, except that as soon as I finished it, except for being really sleepy, I wanted to.
There you go.
I wanted to go back and just rewatch it from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant! They're all up there as well. Every episode's up there.
Yeah, all of them are there. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yay.
There you go. I've added Julie and
apparently there's about 6 episodes apparently. So
nice.
Yeah. There's also a couple of Terry Pratchett ones there, like Eric and more. Oh, that is one of my favorite Pratchett books.
So, any more topics or themes from Good Omens that you guys want to touch on?
I think a big theme is humanism, and I mean, obviously, right? And I'm interested in just how much power Adam has left, because he does that little thing with the hedge, and then does the great thing about Adam never understood why people made such a fuss about other people taking their apples. It's so great, and so just sort of like humanity being better than these great concepts of eternal salvation or eternal damnation or utter righteousness or utter evil. Like, I
think the point is Adam still has all the power that he had, but he doesn't want to use it apart from for the little that can help other people and little things to help himself. He doesn't want to affect the world too much. He has the same attitude to the world now as Virial and Crowley do. He's just like, he just wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he was being like evil Adam and he was going to give his friends other parts of the world to rule over, they were like, "Where will you be?" And he says, "Here." Like he can't even imagine not being in his home village at that point. So yeah.
And it just goes to show that at that point, even at the end of it, he's not good or evil Adam. He's just Adam.
Yeah.
He's just a boy. He's an 11-year-old boy.
He's not good incarnate. He's not evil incarnate. He is human incarnate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's just a regular kid. Middle class rural kid. And he's just very... I love this whole thing of even he's faced down the devil and he's worried what his dad's going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I gotta say, and I know that this is complex. This is a complex thing, and I'm not saying that everyone has to feel this way or anything. But one of my first cousin is adopted, and just to have a speech like that in a film is really nice, because you can't help, if you are adopted, you can't help but wonder, about your biological parents. You can't help, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it causes some cognitive dissonance and some other things.
Yeah.
But
again,
it's nice to say, no, my dad is the dad who was there.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing that someone raised with Neil Gaiman on Tumblr, where he said that was definitely something they wanted to put across, that your parents are not necessarily your birth parents. Your parents are the ones that were there for you.
Yeah.
And that goes with like single parent households and all that stuff. You can't just call. I actually had a friend who the first time she ever spoke to her father was he called her on her 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have to pay child support anymore. And she was like, "What the fuck do you want now?"
Yeah.
Where have you been for the last 18 years?
Yeah, exactly.
And
no.
So speaking of children who were adopted, I know that it's left up in the air in the series. The third child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but in the book, we actually, if I remember right, we actually do meet the third child, and yes, he does indeed win prizes for his tropical fish.
Yeah, and he's fine.
Yeah. Because I know that's a side that could have potentially bogged the plot down a bit, but I do like in the book, where they, it starts off with that dark joke about the satanic nuns, and and it almost seems sarcastic, and just like what happened to him.
Yeah, I was a bit worried.
Yeah, but then, later in the book, it gets subverted, and you actually do, meet the third child, and he does actually win awards for his tropical fish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to talk about the team building exercise.
Oh, yes.
They want war, so we'll give them real bullets. It's a great insight into literalism.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, how many people, if your company is paying for you to go on something like that, that's because your team is not. That one of you really does want to shoot the others. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I love how Aziraphale gives Crowley the look, and Crowley's like, okay, they'll all have miraculous escapes.
Yeah, I do like the thing Crowley, Aziraphale steps onto the land and he's like, how you feel it? This place feels loved. And it's like, oh.
Yeah. And then paintball sniper.
Paintball sniper. It's interesting that he can't miracle the spot off of his coat, but Crowley can. Crowley
well,
can.
No, it's not that he
psychology of it, isn't it?
It's not that he can't, it's that he won't, because he'll know that it was still there.
He'll know that it was there. That's right. I'll always know it was there. Right, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the whole Crawley to Crowley thing was great. It was like
linguistic shift,
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to be like, he didn't like Crawley. He didn't like that.
He went from crawling on the ground to the giant crow, which is nice.
Yeah.
Also, the special effects with those wings.
Yeah.
Oh, and how sweet is it when they're sitting on the wall of Eden and he puts his wing over him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just really sweet.
So speaking of, when he's changing his name, a nice fella. I showed him all the kingdoms of the world. This is the least I can do for a carpenter from Galilee.
Oh yeah,
I missed that. This is why I have to watch it again. I missed that line entirely because I was watching it very late, and my neighbors get up very early.
Yeah, Crowley met him in the desert and showed him all the kingdoms of the world.
I caught that bit, but I didn't catch the at least I could do for. That was the part that.
Yeah, it's not like a carpenter from Galilee would get out much.
Yeah.
And hello to Geo Sam.
Hey, Geo Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Oh, yeah. I had another note about when they mentioned they flashed to the crucifixion in one of the flashbacks, and they're like, and one of them, and I honestly forget which one it was. One of them says to the other, well, what did he do? I don't know. He said people should be kind to each other, and that's very sweet. But that is not, and that's what a lot of Christians think.
Yeah.
But if you read the New Testament,
it's blasphemy.
It's not entirely, that is, I mean, yeah, he said a couple of nice things, but it's not the whole story there. Just felt like being a jerk and throwing that out there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, do you know what I would love to do? I would love to sit down and do an in-depth comparison between those scenes and the Life of Brian crucifixion scenes.
Yeah.
Because I think the satires are very similar, but done in very different ways.
Yeah.
I love that song has become.
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's Crowley asks Aziraphale, what did he do to get them so riled up? And then Aziraphale says he told them to be kind, and then Crowley goes, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Which is a good statement about human beings.
Humanity, yeah. And I think they didn't like that. Like, poor guy screaming on a cross, but they didn't like that.
No,
just the power of the understatement.
Yeah,
yeah. Both of them were kind of like, "Ew, what? What are you?" Ew.
And I think that's where we start to see. I think the beauty of Crowley and Aziraphale is their character arcs. They are not defined by being angels or demons. They are more human than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've gone native.
They've picked us. Yeah, they've gone native. They've picked a side, and the side they've picked is humans.
Yeah. Luckily for us.
Yeah. We're not on anyone's side. We're on our side.
Yeah.
Like this whole idea of going off to Alpha Centauri is just
Yeah. Now, so let's see. I think we've hit all the really meaty stuff. So before we break into conclusions and such, there is something, and this is definitely going to be its own episode, but it's something that we should also touch on. But yeah, it's going to be its own episode, and I'm going to want a very diverse panel for it. And the poll is still going. There are 4 days left in it. But so of course there was the whole fiasco with the evangelicals wanting Netflix to cancel it because they, viewed it as satanic and blasphemous.
God, just okay, whatever.
And obviously, Good Omens, like part of what makes Good Omens so great is it lifts characters and concepts from Christian mythology to make its points about good and evil and environmentalism. And
the good thing is Netflix did succumb to the pressure because they did tweet out that they would not be showing any more episodes of Good Omens.
But anyways, that does lead, to a question. And like I said, this definitely is going to be its own episode that I will want a diverse panel for. Is hold on, I'll zoom a bit.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, is it okay to farm mythologies for inspiration / content?
Yes.
I think it depends on a lot of things, but I think I'm looking at it from sort of my point of view. A lot of the mythology I believe in, or follow, wouldn't exist if it hadn't used other mythology for inspiration and content.
True.
So I would say yes, but I think there's got to be something about. I would strongly say if it's done with malice, there's a problem.
From what I've seen of it, the vote seems to be going overwhelmingly in one direction at the moment.
Yeah.
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 But I didn't want to. I didn't want to.
I don't want to spoil it. So
yeah, I didn't want to. I
is
didn't
we've
want
got
to spoil how
things-
the vote is going. So that's why I used my other account to show this.
Yeah,
I will
I
say
think
when
a
I
lot
was
of it. I would say I think it's a lot to do with the reception and the understanding that's established between the creator and the audience.
Yeah.
So if creator and audience are on the same page, go for it. But if they're not, it's going to cause problems.
Well, like I've used Catholic stuff in stories, and I've used Celtic pantheons in stories because that was my jam for a long time. And in fact, if you want to go all the way back to Shakespeare, like Hamlet, because of, just purely for some plot reasons, he put it in the Middle Ages. For a reason. He needed the cast to be Catholic, the characters rather to be Catholic for some of the plot to work. Yeah. So but I mean, I don't consider that like I think as long as you're not stepping into cultural appropriation territory, I don't know that it matters, but that I can see why people might object to something certain.
Yeah. And obviously the main the reason that the evangelicals took up with it is because fundamentalist evangelical Christians can't deal with anything touching on the Christian mythology with anything but the most brown-nosing reverence.
That's not torture porn made by an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
I'm referring to Passion of the Christ, if anyone doesn't know. But no, just to throw this out there, and I realize this is not a sample size. This is literally a sample size of one. My brother happens to be an evangelical Christian, and Good Omens is one of his favorite books of all time. Yeah. So just saying. I don't know. Hashtag not all super Christian.
Not all evangelical.
Well, I think. Well, I think a lot of times it's. A lot of the times with them, they tend to react to these things, and they based on what they've heard, they've not actually watched these things already. So,
yes. Oh my gosh! Do any of you remember when The Last Temptation of Christ came out? People picketed that movie with signs that said, "You will go to hell if you see this movie." None of them had seen it. None of them had read Kazantzakis. It's a beautiful film.
Well, that's the thing is, if you're taught that engaging with a piece of media will literally make you infested by demons.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry I cut you off, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say very simply, Life of Brian. I always say that when my ex, when I first started dating her, she was very much a Christian. She's not anymore. But one film she had never watched was The Life of Brian, and she was still a Christian when I got her to watch that, and she was a little bit like trepidation going into it, and she laughed her ass off throughout that and said, "This movie is not blasphemous at all. Not at all."
Yeah.
And I was still slightly Christian when I watched Life of Brian, and to be fair, I probably also because I was still slightly Christian. I liked the terrorism jokes a lot more than I liked the terrorism and political jokes a lot more than the religion jokes.
Split up.
I love the political jokes. I've been involved with the far left. I've seen sects that are like the People's Front of Judea. So.
But, and like I said, that the whole is it okay to lift from mythology for content is very much going to have to be its own topic. So I'm going to leave that kind of dangling there until I can get a good diverse panel.
Well, I would. I could. I could sum that up in one person in the community's favourite saying.
Yeah.
Disney is non-canon.
But
I don't know if you want to.
because obviously, I think a lot of the reason why the poll is actually going the way it's currently going is because a lot of my followers are atheists, and to be I don't want this to be like just an atheist circle jerk.
Right, fair.
Why don't you ask Ocean to be part of it as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't have an issue, but I think a lot of the time, sometimes it comes down to people don't have an issue until it's their own thing being and I will say that of a few pagans that I know. It's like, especially some of the Norse pagans, they get really het up on the Marvel 4 stuff, right? So,
I mean, I have to say, I don't get all that het up about
I used to. Hands up. I used to.
Adaptations of like Hellenic and Roman deities. What does irritate me is when things are done inaccurately. Now, it's very difficult to say that there is an accurate version of a myth because that's not what myth is.
Yeah.
But when something is there and it's there in the subtext and it's quite clear what it is, to then take that. I'll give you a perfect example. Troy 2004, the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of things wrong with that film. The filming, the acting, just a lot of things wrong with it. Great sort of, mindless watch. The one thing in all that film that irritated me was the fact that they made Achilles and Patroclus cousins.
Yeah.
Not because I'm a shipper or anything like that, but because the only reason they did it is because they made that film in a time when it wasn't culturally appropriate to show two fighting men as lovers, and it was a decision based purely on homophobia.
Yeah.
It was because there's no other good reason to do that.
No.
Yeah.
There is no good reason not to make them lovers and to alter the plot that radically. So, and that film is in love with the male form. If you watch that film, it's like watching an hour and a half of soft porn.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of thighs and things going on, and and there's a great shot where you've got Achilles comes along on his chariot with his strategically placed penis. Sorry, I meant spear. So it's not. Yeah,
there's a reason the 600 is so a lot of fun to watch. If you're
300, you mean?
300. Sorry.
Yeah, but the only reason they made Achilles and Patroclus cousins there was because they could not, in 2004, release a film of two men who were lovers when one of them was Brad Pitt.
Right.
That's for me. Because
he was in an interview with a vampire. There was so much
exactly
subtext in that.
But in 2004, releasing that film, it would have flopped if they'd have been out and just outed those two characters.
No, I guess
we
what's
know how
disturbing
much
to
times
me
have changed in 15 years.
No, I know that, but what's disturbing to me is Interview with a Vampire came out in the 90s and didn't care.
It's a risky strategy.
And then
it's risky, and in
2004 we were more homophobic than in the 90s.
Yeah.
That sucks.
We were. There was that time in the early 2000s when the Western world was very homophobic.
Yeah.
And so it was risky to release that. That's why it bothers me on that. Listen, if someone wrote that story now and wrote them as cousins and altered it in that way, fine, have at it. Because you're not doing it because you're in a homophobic culture. You're doing it because you want to explore that as an idea.
Yeah.
What if they were brothers? What if they were cousins? But when you're doing it to bow down to bigotry, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing, in a lot of Greek mythology and Roman mythology, these stories were there, and they are evidence that LGBTQ people existed, and these stories are how the ancient people understood them to exist.
Yep.
And the explanations they brought forward, and it shows that these people were not viewed as anything particularly out of the ordinary. They were just another story.
But
they were there, so that bothers me. But that's my issue. It's all about the reception and the context of something being released and why the decision's been taken the way it is. If you want to take mythology and, you know, put Thor in a pink dress and whatever you want to do, have at it. That just came out. I don't know what my brain did there.
That would work in one of the myths, Sissy.
Yeah, it would. It would. But if you want to do that, have fun. But don't do it because you're bowing down to bigotry, because then I've got an issue. Or don't do it because you're deliberately having a dig. That's when I'd have an issue.
But so, and of course, you know, taking, you know, lifting elements from, you know, Christian, you know, mythology to make a satire about human nature and how humans interact with the world, you know, is completely legitimate. But of course, how dare, you know, anyone approach the Bible with anything but the utmost of reverence.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the best religious stories I've read of fan fiction's Jesus Judas slashed on AO3.
Yeah. Though I will say
that is great.
I do like, you know, I do like the nod, you know, that the of the Airman reading American Gods by Neil Gaiman, though I think it would have been a brilliantly hilarious like I probably would still be laughing about it, is if that Airman were reading Left Behind. You know, because, you know, the whole point, like, one of the biggest jokes is like, it's not, you know, the apocalypse isn't going according to plan. But, and of course, you know, evangelical Christians love them some Left Behind.
Oh God, yes. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad movies.
Yeah. But, you know, they trip over themselves to, like, you know, basically to the point where they believe that's how the revelation is actually going to go down.
So Ring.
So does that make Neil Gaiman a prophet?
No, I'm talking about Left Behind, not Good Omens.
No. So Ring, when are we doing the media musings on God's Not Dead?
No, never, because I'm not watching.
Luckily, I have not seen God's Not Dead, and
I'll be sick that day.
And if I had, that won't
because
be
he took everything from me.
Yeah, that won't be that won't be a media musings. That would be a dissecting Christian propaganda, and we still have to finish. We still have to finish the Story Keepers before we think about moving on to anything else. Speaking of which,
that's when we get desperate for content, you know, isn't it? Really honest.
Speaking of which, the Story Keepers stream should be coming back in October.
Yay!
Fingers crossed.
Yep. All right.
But I think that's a good transition into shilling. If no one has any other final thoughts.
No, I'm good.
Nope. I'm good.
Who wants to shill?
Okay. Hissy?
I will. Yeah.
Shill, Jeff and I do our Asterix stream every week. Tonight on Twitter, we're actually, as part of Classics Twitter movie, which is the hashtag Classics Twitter movie, we're watching 2 Asterix films, so do come and join us, tweet along, it's always good fun. Really welcoming crowd, do enjoy. I'm not doing much on YouTube at the moment, I'm mainly active on Twitter. We'll see how that goes. I've now hit 50 subs, so I've got to start putting out content. So I will do that. And I want to say thank you to Ilya for shilling that out, because I think that was Ilya who got that for me. And mainly I'm on here. I'm on everything I do at the moment that's shillable, I do with someone who's on this stream. So I'm going to let everyone else speak.
Though, hold on, because there is something that I've got to thank I've got to thank Ilya for as well.
All of us do.
Please, have you got to 150?
No, not
No.
quite yet, but almost as good. Almost as good.
What's almost as good?
I'm at 142.
42. Nice.
Yeah. I am currently at 142 subscribers. Thank you, Ilya.
Ray, I've got some bad news for you. You've dropped one, mate, because you were at 143 earlier in the stream.
Oh.
What's happened there?
You probably YouTube is weird with that.
Yeah, it's dead account or something. I don't know.
I have actually been kicked as a subscriber and had to go back and resubscribe to someone when I didn't do it.
Yeah, I have as well, actually.
Though to be fair, I'm glad that I'm hoping I don't get a subscriber before I can screenshot this on my phone.
There's one ring, 42.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I suppose I'll do my shit. Obviously, I want to echo what Hissy said. I haven't done this Twitter Classics movie thing tonight, but because it's a couple of Asterix films, I think I'm going to tonight. It's the original Asterix de Gaulle, and it's Asterix and Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Sort of, and both movies are only about an hour each, so it's like, a couple of hours this thing will be. And there are on Amazon Prime, and I think they may be about on YouTube somewhere. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm probably going to.
I'm sorry. Which Cleopatra are you watching?
Asterix and Asterix.
Oh, right. I knew that. Sorry.
There's two movies, Julie. It's Asterix de Gaulle, then Asterix and Cleopatra, the cartoons of that. On my channel, I have something penciled in for next Friday where I should be having Slim Living Cyborg come on the channel, which should be quite interesting. He's a guy who's people who've, let's just say, people who've bragged about the tattoos and that they've had and piercings they've had. They can all bow in front of this guy who's had all these LEDs and microchips and stuff put into his body. So this could be really interesting.
That's a thing now? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Neither did I until I actually got to talk to the guy about a week or so ago.
Oh my gosh! Okay, cool. I guess I live under a rock.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to get it on to explain a bit more about it. So because I was on a stream with him the other week and got really intrigued. So, right, what else have I got? At some point next weekend, and I haven't figured out exactly a time and date exactly yet, but I will be doing a 300 subscriber party because as people might know, I finally hit 300 earlier today. So I think that's pretty much all I got to shill.
Don't mind me yawning. It's been a long week.
Yeah. And Jen?
Oh, let's see. I've been shelling stuff I'm in the process of doing all the last few days. I'm doing a mini doco thing on a set of mountain ranges in Western Australia called the Stirling Ranges. They're in the top 8 oldest ranges in the world. Depending on how you take it, they're either the 8th oldest or they're the 3rd oldest mountain range in the world, and it depends which set of datings you use. there's some really interesting stuff about it, which is part of my thing. And I went there and I took footage when I was away last time. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. The day was amazing because it went from being beautiful, bright, and sunshiny to overcast. Clouds coming in that covered the entire top of the mountains, and you couldn't see them anymore. And it was brilliant to watch happen. And then it pissed down with rain. So, but it was really good. But I've got that coming out. I'm going to be doing another naked chat video where I'm talking about relationships and sex and stuff. And I'm also I'm putting together another show for for my show, quiz show.
Nice.
I'm trying to getting the stuff together so we can do another one of those. Whether that comes out in the next week will depend on whether I'm making a trip down to Albany to put an offering on a new house.
or whether I'm working or not.
And whether you're working or not. So yeah, we're going to have to figure that one out. So, but yeah, I may even do it as a pre-recorded show rather than a live one. That way we can get, because I want to do a couple of special shows in it, and I think if we do a pre-recorded and actually cut in the best of it, we can actually have a show that's maybe instead of a live stream that goes for an hour and a half, we can actually cut it. We could record for an hour and something and cut it down to a show that's like 20 minutes. That's a lot of people will actually want to watch. I think that might actually work better than going out live. I mean, live's fun, but the way the show runs, you're not really paying attention to the chat anyway. So, so I don't think it would matter if it wasn't live.
And Julie?
I have Wine and Reason Tuesday night, and as always, I have no idea what topic I'm going to do. So I don't know. Let's just wait and see what state or, if my governor or mayor or whoever shits the. Never mind. That's really vulgar. Whoever does something messed up this week.
I did see that what's his name? Cripes.
Depends who you mean, really.
Snowden. Snowden was trending earlier because Trump's talking about potentially pardoning him.
Oh, all right.
What?
Yep. So it might be about
wants
that.
to win this next election, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He has to stay out of jail.
Yeah.
Legitimately, like the New York has brought charges against Donald Trump that that will the statute of limitations will run out on some of those things if he is elected and serves 4 more years. So he'll either die in office and I'm not threatening him. I'm just saying he'll either die of old age in office or he'll, if he wins.
So he'll either run out the statute of limitations while he's in office or he'll be in jail.
Yeah, thank you for being more articulate there.
Yeah,
I couldn't quite get it.
Yeah, sad thing is, I think
any other day where he's done more for women than any other president.
I can't even. You just broke my brain.
Yeah.
I can't.
I retweeted. What the hell?
Because appointing Ben Kavanaugh to the Supreme, Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, and saying that sexual assault is just locker room talk. Yeah, he's done a lot.
I'm not being funny,
but
you guys are kind of screwed between Trump and Biden, really, honestly. And that
look, at this point, lesser of two evils does less harm. I'm taking it. Biden has my vote.
At this point, I get how you feel because we're stuck as well. We're stuck between Starmer and frigging Johnson,
yeah.
I mean, I primaried for Elizabeth Warren. I really wanted Elizabeth Warren in there, but she didn't get it, and so Biden's got my vote.
I think you guys, I'm not get too much in the past, but I think
looks like a vice president.
I would just say I don't want to get too much in the past, but I think you guys missed a massive opportunity with Bernie, to be honest.
Oh, I do too. I absolutely do too. I don't know how that happened. In 2016, I don't know how it was weird.
Yeah.
But now I think in the most recent primary, honestly, if I really did not think Elizabeth Warren came in 4th among Democrats in my state, and I was really shocked by that. And Bernie came in 2nd, and once I saw the results, I was kicking myself because I was like, I should have.
Why didn't I vote Bernie? Yeah.
No, I love Bernie. My fear was that people would look at him and think he was too old to elect, and I hate being ageist because he's still sharp as a freaking tack.
Right, I would just say, start building for them in future right now, and start building up AOC. Quite frankly.
Oh, fuck you! I'll build up AOC all I want.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but
fucking.
So
I'm not.
Wine and Reason on Tuesday, as yet untitled.
Sorry. And Jeff and I will bitch about politics on our own time. Sorry, Ring.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
And Jeff, I love you. You know that. We disagree and we're buddies. It's fine.
What, you don't like AOC?
I love AOC.
That's what I was saying.
You said we had to stop building her up. I was like, what?
No, Julie, you misheard me. I said, build that woman up. She is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
She is. I agree. Yeah, never mind. Jeff and I completely
building her up so she can, move in when the time's right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Jeff and I absolutely agree. And yes, when she is old enough to run, I'm gonna vote for her. Sorry, Jeff. I did misunderstand you. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I would never diss AOC. No.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. I was like, honestly? Okay.
But anyways, so next week on next week, obviously there's secular D&D on Saturday. And next Sunday we will be finishing with the Princess Bride. And then after that, probably finishing off the month with a talk on satire, because this is accidentally turned into satire month.
I went in on that one.
It's not accidental. It was the ineffable plan.
Yeah, it was the ineffable plan,
which we can't possibly know. So,
and after that, we will be doing Lit Month in honor of Banned Booked Week, and the votes are in and have been tallied. And the author spotlight for that month will be Ray Bradbury.
Oh, yay! Oh, just tell me which one. I've got a bunch.
Well, no, so we're going to talk Ray Bradbury as an author for that episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
So I'm thinking, since, Satire Month, since August has turned into Satire Month, first week will be Gulliver's Travels. Then it'll be Gulliver's Travels, and then either Ray Bradbury or I forget what the other, because I already have the topics all lined up. I'm just slotting them into the right spots. Oh yeah. So Gulliver's Travels, then either Ray Bradbury or talking Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faust.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then the week of Banned Book Week, we will be talking banned books, and then it will be whichever isn't picked for the second week.
Okay, cool.
And once I have the Times Less energy, next upcoming edited videos are either the God D&D Disproves God, where I'm gonna take that clip where we played my little alignment game in the tabletop chat on Media Musings, and I'm gonna basically film a brief intro that play the clip and then close it out, and so that'll be quick and easy to do. And then the other one that I've got on the docket for when I have the energy and time to shoot it is a Dungeons and Divinity on Esther, because Junk Shop recently finished the book of Esther.
Yes, they did. That would be cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
I do Job, but nothing happens in Job.
No. I remember reading this as a senior in high school, like Bible is literature. I went to public health, and I wrote all these papers on it, and I remembered loving it. And now I'm like, what did I love about this?
Yeah.
Was it just that one scene where God and the devil make a bet? Is that the one? Is that the one? I'm starting to think that's the only reason I liked it.
There's nothing nice in Job at all.
No.
It's fucking horrific.
I will always refer to an old Iron Brew advert from like the 90s, where they did a retelling of David and Goliath, where like Goliath was kind of a nice guy and David was an arsehole, and Goliath ended up putting on a like crash helmet just as the stone hit, and then hit and like boom, harmlessly off. And he takes the helmet off and goes, "Who says the film has to be like the book?"
But, or as I commented on one of their Job videos, the Book of Job is basically like the 2014 Godzilla movie in that it's a bunch of human drama bullshit, except for the last 10 minutes when the kaiju show up.
Yeah. That's fair.
The only difference is in Godzilla 2014, it becomes awesome when the kaiju show up.
That was a disappointing movie, but it was good at the end. So I'll say that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Basically, I'm just watching. Yeah, I'm watching Junk Shop's Job streams, just waiting for the kaiju to show up.
Thank you so much. It's a struggle for all of us.
Yeah. But with that, I think we should move on to taglines.
Oh, okay. You won't find truth in wine, but you may find it in reason.
Oh.
Scummer?
Don't really have a tagline, just saluting out.
Yeah. Cassie?
Take care, be good, and if you can't be good, be careful.
And as always, remember, indoctrination is a hell of a selfie stick.